Welcome back to another episode of Off the Record with Dannie Rogers. I have someone so special joining me. She can't be here in studio because she is currently working in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Lisa Foiles, people. If she is at all familiar looking, it's because you might know her from All That and maybe an episode of Malcolm in the Middle. And if you know her voice, it is because she sang the iconic Jamaal That song for the team. So let me play it for the people real quick. It's the best. How many times have you listened to that, Lisa?
Every night before I go to bed. I just like to play it on a loop. It helps me sleep, just, man, I just like, wow, you're so talented, Lisa. Listen to your voice. You're so good.
It is so good though. We have to draw the connection here of, okay, Lisa who's living in Las Vegas now, originally from the Pacific Northwest, so she is a Seahawks fan. I'm sorry, family, to drop that on you real quick. What is the connection?
I'll go.
What's the connection, Lisa? How did you get your voice on the Jamaal That theme song that pays homage to Jamaal Williams, the Detroit Lions running back, and currently the league leader in rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, the man's amazing. So Neil Larson, who is one of your lovely coworkers, I don't even know his title. He just runs cameras.
Senior video producer and social media extraordinaire.
Neil, yeah, fancy title. Anyway, so I've been friends with Neil Larson since when he lived in Las Vegas. So we met here when he was in a band. We became friends. He moved to Detroit and we wanted to disown him. We're like, I can't believe you're moving away. We're friends. You're just going to ruin our friendship like that. How dare you pick a job over us? Like, what kind of friend are you? So he moved to Detroit. And then fast forward, and he obviously, when we met in Las Vegas, he knew I was on All That, and we got to know each other, so he knew that I was on the show. And so yeah, we've stayed friends over the years. It wasn't a random call out of nowhere, but yeah, so he called me up one day and he's like, hey, so we want to give this guy Jamaal Williams his own show because he's this amazing personality. He loves pop culture. It would totally vibe with his fans. And we want to call it Jamaal That. And I'm like, already just cracking up laughing. This is genius. And he's like, we got to do a theme song for it. And can you please sing it? And I said, not for any less than $10,000. So he quickly wired that over to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Get your money, girl.
I'm like, absolutely. Yes. So we teamed up with the lead singer from his Las Vegas band, Jared Jones, and Jared played all the music and he produced it. And then I sent over my vocals and he, mastered it, made it all sound pretty, and then sent it over to Neil. And then the next thing we were just seeing it everywhere. People are sending me videos of it being played in the stadium. And I'm just like, this is so amazing. So that's kind of how that came to be. But it's funny, I actually sang the theme song for seasons, I believe it was seasons 9 and 10 with Lil Bow Wow. Was it Lil Bow Wow? Yeah, with Lil Bow Wow. So way back in the day, I was in the recording studio doing the same thing. Like I have vivid memories of doing that. And then fast forward, now I'm in my studio doing the so we changed it enough that it's different, but still sounds the same. Yeah, it was a total blast from the past for me. So now I've technically recorded 2 versions of the All That theme song. So
I have a feeling you might have a favorite one, especially if it's like connected to Jamaal Williams, who is one of the best humans ever.
Oh my gosh. Like, yes. So I love just funny, crazy sports personalities,
Jamaal Williams.
Like there's so many of them in UFC. I hosted a show called the UFC Minute for years and years and years. And that was a job where I knew nothing about UFC before I hosted the show. I'm like, who would watch this sport? This is barbaric. Like, these are just men in their underwear just trying to kill each other. Like, who would watch this? And then like 2 months into it, I like knew all the fighters. I'm just like, oh yeah, get it. I'm like so into it. But you learn the personalities. It was right when Conor McGregor was coming up. Mm-hmm. So obviously I like loved Conor. He was so funny and silly, his little like billionaire walk. Like every time he was on the microphone, I wanted to hear what he had to say because I knew whatever it was, I was going to feature it in the show. And I feel like Jamaal is similar, just, obviously takes the game and the sport incredibly seriously, but I don't think he takes himself or life very seriously. And that's the way you got to be. I watched all the Hard Knocks episodes and was so sucked in to that show, and just, he was so fun to watch. I mean, they all have great personalities, but there's something about that guy.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head with very serious about the game, off the field. He's a character, and everyone loves him for that. When you were recording this song, you said it was in your studio. Neil, our favorite Neil, did you record it in the bathroom at all, or the closet?
So I do have a walk-in closet upstairs that I have, that I do all my voiceover jobs in, which people don't realize. Yeah, but sometimes show business can be very glamorous, but a walk-in closet is like the best place to record because it just muffles everything. So yeah, every once in a while I'll record right here. So this is my like filming studio if I'm filming a job, or like this is where I hosted the UFC Minute. This was a green screen, and I had like an hour turnaround. They would send me the script. I would get hair and makeup ready, jump in front of this screen, film myself, get the footage onto my computer, edit it, and send it over to them in like an hour. And I did that Monday through Friday for about 4 years. So that was a really good like boot camp in memorization and editing, like quickly. Yeah, so I do mostly video production here in the studio, and then I do voiceover or singing upstairs in my walk-in closet, surrounded by my tank tops and my bras and like all sorts of like dirty laundry everywhere. Very, very glamorous. But yeah, so that's where I sang the vocals for that. And I'm sure you're wondering what this sign is back here. Can I tell you about it?
Please tell us about it. It all just fits so well. Jamaal That, all that, after the OG. Please tell us about it.
It does. It does fit so well. And it's funny, I didn't hang this here just for this. Like this is always here. And my husband usually works right here. So it's always in the background of his interviews and, all stuff like that. So people are always asking him about it. Yeah. But this is actually a cutout from the stage of all that. So if you remember the show, it's Saturday Night Live for kids. It's sketch comedy. And for the first, 25 minutes of the show, it was sketches and silliness and costumes and doing all sorts of characters. But the last 5 minutes or so are a musical guest. We would have Britney Spears and NSYNC and Usher and like anyone you can think of, like any huge artist was on our show. And this was right in the center of the stage, and there were neon letters inside each one. So every single celebrity guest and musical guest that we've had has stood on that black circle with the logo on it. And it was years later that I went to go visit my old friends at Nickelodeon and the prop department, and they were like, "Hey, we have a surprise for you." And they walked out with this big thing. They're like, "Do you want this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I want this." I don't know where I'm gonna put it, how I'm gonna fit it in my car. It's pretty big, right. But I'm like, I must have it. So now it lives here on my wall.
I just throwing it back to the All That memories. I was first off going to say, like, who'd you have to fight to get that All That? So I'm glad they just graced you with it. How did you get on the show? And here we are going into like the storyline of, I like to know interesting things about the people that we have on the show. It's off the record. So how did you get onto All That and jumpstart your acting, singing? You're even an author now. How did that career jumpstart really with All That?
I'm going to even relate it back to football a little bit, especially, again, watching the Hard Knocks episodes and how they had so many players and they had to narrow it down, and just watching that crazy process and the emotions that Coach Campbell went through, just all of it, it's actually kind of similar. So for not with every show, but for my show in particular, when they were getting a whole new cast, they did a nationwide search for 7 new kids. So there were thousands of kids that auditioned for this show. And we had, I think, 7 callbacks or something like that, which is insane. You usually have 1 or 2, and that's it. And this was very intense. For the auditions, we had to do 3 different characters. You had like make up a monologue that involved 3 different characters. and then read a script, and then kind of answer questions about your personality for the producers and the casting directors. And so, yeah, I mean, every time I showed up for a callback, got narrower. There are less kids. You know, you start to recognize a few. You're like, okay, you made it. All right. And this took weeks and weeks. And then finally, there were 12 of us sitting in the lobby. We had all auditioned, and, you know, tension, like you cut the tension with a knife. Somebody comes down and they're like, okay, we'll let you know in like 1 month whether you made it or not. And we're like, okay. They're like, we can only pick 7 and there's 12 of you, so good luck. And we're like, okay.
Oh,
and it was
my
my favorite show growing up. Like, I was obsessed with all that before I ever became an actor. I was living in Spokane, Washington, born in Portland, moved to Spokane. And there are cassette tapes somewhere of me and my best friend performing characters from the original seasons, you know, like Lori Betts, like, be quiet, this is a library, and repairman, man. Like, this is so throwback to those, you know, original cast characters. But I mean, this, like, my heart was so in this. This wasn't just another job. This was like, you know, I'm sure any of those players who were, you know, trying out for the Lions, like, if the Lions were their all-time favorite team from childhood, like, it meant a little bit more than people, you know, who had a different favorite team.
How
like,
old were you at the time?
Show. I was 14.
Okay.
I was 13 when I auditioned, 14 when I booked the show. And yeah, so a month came and went, didn't hear anything. So I'm like, I guess I didn't get it. And then it was like another month after that they called my mom and they were like, she got it.
Why do you think they took so long?
I don't know. Must have been a hard decision. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they narrow it down. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but it took them a while. But I have to say that Jamaal would have fit perfectly with our cast of kids. We were all incredibly hyper and just telling jokes all the time, bouncing off the walls, love pop culture. I mean, we were playing Pokemon cards. I know Jamaal's a Pokemon fan. Like, he really does seem like, if football hadn't worked out for him, he could have just been an All That cast member.
1,000,000%. Okay, so you were living in Spokane when you auditioned for this. Did you just have to jet down to LA? Is that where the show was based?
I'd actually just moved to LA. So I was a competitive dancer in Spokane. There was even a time when I wanted to be a professional cheerleader. Like, I kind of went through that, like, I'm a dancer. What do I do next? I want to be a, you know, professional cheerleader. I did not go that path. I went the acting path. My parents moved me down to the LA area. And my first show that I got was a show called Even Stevens. I don't know if anybody knows that. I was on the Disney.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. So I was a recurring character on that show. And then shortly after was the big casting call for All That. So it was one of my first jobs after moving to California.
Did you have an agent in place? Was mom the agent? How does that work?
I did have an agent, but like a very small agent. You know what I mean? Like, I had no credits to my name. So obviously, you know, I couldn't walk into, you know, one of the huge, you know, the huge like William Morris agencies and be like, sign me. They would have been like, out the door. So just a tiny little like boutique acting agency who a lot of kids didn't actually, who auditioned for the show. I think most of the cast members on the show didn't have agents. So yeah, so I had one, but I really didn't know the ropes. I didn't know etiquette, like set etiquette, anything when I got the show. I was a kid, you know, but it was one of the best experiences of my whole life. And I love talking about it. I know there's so many child actors who, when they get older, they're like, you know, don't talk to me about when I played whatever, you know, don't talk to me about my younger kid characters. But I love talking about it. It's so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what is the number one rule for set etiquette?
Well, now it's don't have your phone at all. Like, leave your phone in your dressing room. But thankfully, we were on the show before cell phones were even really a thing. And social media was not a thing, which I'm so thankful for, because we just kind of got to live in the moment and enjoy every little minute of the show. We weren't constantly like checking our Instagram or our Twitter or like competing for followers or anything like that I know kids on TV shows now have to do. We were just like enjoying it. But yeah, I'd say just set etiquette, be absolutely kind to every single person around you, because you don't know who knows who. and who's in charge and who's not. And, you tick off an editor and they might take you out of that scene for that week. And you just, it's the entertainment business. It's a business.
It's a crazy business. We're kind of like in the entertainment, but in it. So we have our set etiquette as well.
Yeah, you got it for sure.
I love all those rules. Who is, so you were on Even Stevens, so you worked with like Shia LaBeouf. Like, I would love to know who the most famous person in your cellular device is.
In my cell phone, let's see.
Like that you have their number too.
Maybe Forrest Griffin. He's a Hall of Fame UFC fighter. Okay. Who else? I think I still have Jamie Spears, Britney's little sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she was on I'm sure I have Jamie. Yeah, I think I have Jamie in there. So she was on seasons 8 and 9. So I was on 7, 8, 9, and 10, and she was on 8 and 9. And of course, that was like the big, media push is like, oh my gosh, like Britney Spears' little sister joins all that. So, our show was everywhere. It was, on every news station. Everybody was featuring it. So I was really thankful that Jamie brought so much publicity to our show. And she was great. And she and I totally hit it off. And I have a great story of the time I got to spend the night at Britney Spears' house because Jamie was living in her Beverly Hills home with her. And Jamie was like, hey, you want to come spend the night at my house? I'm like, yes, I do. So Britney and her mom picked up me and Jamie from set one day in their beautiful pearly white Lexus and drove us to their triple gated community to this giant mansion. I think even a Britney Spears song came on the radio while I was in the car with Britney. It was so funny. I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, do I acknowledge that this is happening or do I?
What did they do?
Station. But
did Britney sing along? What did they do?
No, I think she just I think she could tell that I was kind of cracking up. Again, I think I was 15 years old at this point. I think she could tell that I was kind of just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I remember she kind of chuckled a little bit and then they just kind of went on with their conversation. But in my mind, I'm just like, what is happening right now? I'm with Britney Spears in a car. We're listening to Britney Spears on the radio. How is this happening? How is this real life? And so we get to her giant mansion and there's crazy guard dogs everywhere. I'm tiptoeing past the guard dogs. I'm like, I'm nice. I was invited here. Leave me alone. I'm cool. And we go back to Jamie's room and we're just hanging out there. And we went swimming and my hair was wet. And I was like, hey, Jamie, do you have a blow dryer? And she's like, no, but my sister has one. She's right down the hall. Just go ask her. And I'm like, you want me to go ask Britney Spears to use her hair dryer? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's happening. So I just mustered the courage and it was one of those shining hallways. It was so long with every step. It just got longer and longer, horror movie style. And I got to her door and I'm just like, excuse me. And she was so nice. She was like, oh, sweetheart, come on in. What do you need? I'm like, Jamie said that do you hair dryer? She's like, absolutely, come on in. So she took me into her bathroom. She got in her drawers and she's like, here you go. And I'm sure it was an $800 hair dryer or something. But I'm just like, thank you so much. I just scurried back to the room. Oh my God, just hyperventilate a little bit. But yeah, so that's an odd experience that I got to have.
Did you happen to listen in on Britney recording a very famous song at one point?
No, but so not recording. But when at one point while I was staying there, somebody was playing the piano, beautiful. And I looked around the corner and it was Britney and she was playing the, I want to say it was the, every time I try to fly, I fall without my mind.
That's Lucky, right?
It's called Every Time, right?
Oh, is Every Time? Which one is it? Every Time? It's Every Time.
Yeah, it's called Every Time. I mean, that's the first word of the chorus, so it must be. And she was playing, she wasn't singing it, but she was playing it. And I don't think at that time that song was released yet. So I was just like, this is beautiful. I didn't even know Britney could play piano. Yeah. So I was just mesmerized by it. And then later when I heard it on the radio, I'm like, that's the song she was playing. I heard her play that song. Just totally blew my mind. But yeah, I'm not sure I've ever told these stories on camera before.
Thank you for telling them. Us normal people, humans just don't. we have cool jobs. We're around like people we think are
You're
cool,
not
but
normal. You host an awesome Lions podcast. What are you talking about?
see, right? And thank you for joining it. Yeah, no, we're around all these football guys all the time. Like they're pretty cool to other humans, but for us, they're kind of like normal. So we're like, but she's up there for us. I love how you were doing Jamie Lynn's Southern accent while you were saying most of that stuff.
Oh yeah, she had that thick accent. She would like pour ranch dressing on her pizza, which was totally foreign to me. I remember when we first got to Jamie's house. Oh my gosh, I have another story. So this was the second time I went to stay with Jamie, and they were in like a different place. They were in like a condo or something, like obviously super nice, like a condo bigger than my house. And I remember her mom served me sweet tea, which is the first time I'd ever have sweet tea, because again, they're from Kentwood, Louisiana, and they drink sweet tea. And grew up as far from the South as you can get, up in Washington. And I remember her handing me that sweet tea and me taking a sip and being like, oh, it's really good. It's great. And I forced myself to drink the whole thing, even though it was like the most horribly sweet drink I've ever experienced in my life. But when you're at a Spears house and you're offered a drink, you drink that drink.
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought in my 16-year-old mind. I mean, Lynn was so sweet that I'm sure if I would have said like, I don't like this, she would have been like, don't worry about it. But I was in my own head. And that was the night. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever told this story. I was there the night that, so Brittany wasn't there because she was performing at an award show, is just what I remember hearing. And so I was there with Lynn and Jamie, and we were all sitting on the couch. And I just remember Lynn saying, oh, I think it's coming up. And she turned on the award show, and it was when Brittany kissed Madonna. Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah.
Sitting there next to Lynn, watching it happen. And at the time, that was pretty scandalous. Don't know if you remember that.
No, that was very scandalous.
Yes. Nowadays, I mean, nobody would even blink twice at that. But it was at the time when Britney was still kind of seen as, you know, more the innocent blonde pop star. I mean, not that innocent, but like, you know, she was transitioning from like the hit me baby one more time to like the more adult pop star. And I just remember Lynn watching it and just like, and it got done. And I remember Lynn saying, it wasn't that bad. It was fine. It was fine. And then she started getting phone calls. And then Jamie and I just kind of went back to her room. But I remember she started getting phone calls, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
Did we know that was planned?
I mean, she had to have known, because she was obviously
she knew
for it. I didn't know what was happening. Nobody else knew what was happening. But Lynn, you know, Brittany's mom, was sitting next to me, and she, like I said, she was like prepared for it. She was watching the song, and I remember her saying like, oh, here it comes. So she knew the kiss was coming. But, you know, then she saw it, and, you know, she wasn't mad at it. She was just kind of like, oh, it happened. And then
this
it wasn't so bad, you know, and that's like all I remember from it. But like, what a crazy moment to experience.
Crazy. No, it truly is. Okay, we have to, very recently, and I know you're a part of the Nickelodeon family, one of our players were slimed. I don't know if you saw that, Derek Barnes. So I don't, like, a lot of people I feel like don't get to actually see the slime, but like, here's a slime. And I heard you've been slimed before as well. How long does that take you to get slime out of your hair?
Well, one time I couldn't get it out of my hair. So there was one season of the show where I was blonde. I was a redhead for 3 seasons, and then I was like, I'm going blonde. And
okay, did you decide that, or did the show?
I decided I was going to go bright blonde, and then the show like was fine with it, because we weren't like, it wasn't a narrative show. We didn't have to like play the same character. We were always wearing wigs and doing whatever. So I'm just like, I'm going blonde. It's happening. Yeah. Actually, that's not how it happened. I'm sure I was like, is it okay if I go blonde? I was like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, people pleaser child. And they were like, yeah, it's fine. So I got slimed, as I usually did, being part of Nickelodeon. And it stained my hair green, and we couldn't get the green out of the blonde hair at all, no matter what shampoo we tried. So I literally had to go get it redone at a salon, like completely redone, because it was this like dirty dishwater blonde green mess on my head.
I was like trying to look for like the ingredients in this.
So there's different types of slime. some read better on different cameras and different situations. I know the one, so when I was on a show called Slime Time Live, which was in Florida, they'd fly us to Florida every once in a while. And it was like a show that kind of happened in between shows. You know, it would come out and be like, you've been watching all that, and now we're gonna slime some people in this audience here at Universal Studios. And I would come appear on that show every once in a while. That one, I want to say, was mostly vanilla pudding and tapioca pudding to give it texture. Obviously, tons of food coloring. Gosh, I remember they used to, like, I've asked them a couple times to rattle off the ingredients, but those are the two that I remember.
Wait, that's crazy. So you could eat that slime?
Yeah, they needed it to be edible because it would just go everywhere.
In all the crevices. Oh my gosh. Lord. Okay, so I don't know how much you're allowed to tell us about all that, but will we be seeing more all that? Some new all that?
I don't know. So they rebooted the show in 2019 with a brand new cast of kids, and they're all great, super talented, super funny. And it went into 2020. So I'm not sure if it was technically 2 seasons or one really big long season. But they asked me to come guest star on the show. So I got to do 2 episodes of the new rebooted all that. And I didn't know how it was going to go because, you know, obviously I used to be on the show, but this is a new cast of kids. Are they even going to know me? Like, it's just going to be different. And I walk on the set and these kids could not be more excited to meet me. Like, they were so respectful. Like, they were so excited to hear my stories. It's kind of like what we all hope our grandchildren are going to be like. We hope that they like, Granny, tell us stories of the old country. You know, we all kind of hope that they want to know about our lives. But I'm like, you know, in this world of iPhones and stuff, like, are they even going to care about a show that aired in the early 2000s? They weren't even born yet. Like, do they even care? Maybe they were born. I don't know. I don't do math.
No, they probably weren't.
But they all like knew my characters, and, you know, they were so sweet. Like, in particular, like Reese Cadell was like the new redhead on the show. So she and I got connected. I'm like, I'm the redhead. She's like, I'm the new redhead. I'm like, ah, yeah. So totally connected there. Yeah, so I actually got to do 2 episodes with another character from the original seasons of all that, actor named Mark Saul. So he and I both got to do 2 episodes, and then that's when it was shut down by COVID.
Oh,
so we did the 2 episodes right before it was shut down, and then it hasn't come back since. So I don't know. I mean, that the reboot was produced by Keenan and Kel. Like, they had a huge hand in executive producing that show and bringing it back to life. Yeah. So I don't know if they have plans to bring it back. I'm still friends with the cast on Instagram. We talk every once in a while. And crazy enough, most of the crew that worked on my seasons was still working on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Michael Johnston, who did my makeup when I was 14 years old, was doing my makeup, you know, now being on the new show. It was just like, I mean, I was tearing up constantly.
That is so wholesome.
Song, you know, they play the song over the loudspeakers, and there's all that logos everywhere. I'm like, this is like a weird, trippy high school reunion happening right now. I don't even.
That is beautiful. Aw. Okay. Yeah. I mentioned you are singer, author. What can you plug that you have going on? Because I know you have so stinking much going on. And next time the draft is in Las Vegas, we will come see you. Didn't know, you know, like,
yes, I
was just there.
That. So, first of all, please, you got to go listen to the Jamaal That theme song. I do vocals, and Jared Jones does all the music. He's amazing. Look up Jared Jones on Instagram. He has this amazing yoga business with his wife, where his wife Brittany like teaches yoga, and he like plays music while you're doing yoga. It's like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, look up Jared Jones. He's incredible. And then for anybody curious about Vegas, so I live in Las Vegas, and everybody asks me, what's it like to live there? Like, and you know, everybody visits here, and they all ask me, what should I do? Well, now I host a show called Vegas On. And the whole point of the show is that every episode we feature different amazing spots in Vegas, cool restaurants, just cool experiences. You know, I hosted an episode from on top of the pirate ship at Treasure Island. We were at Allegiant Stadium on the field while they were painting the numbers for the upcoming Raiders games. Like, you know, we feature all these really cool places. in Vegas. So if you want to know what restaurant to go to, a show to see, an experience to have, go watch a show called Vegas On. And I am the host of that. So I will guide you on a beautiful, wonderful tourist tour of Las Vegas. So hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Oh my gosh, that's lovely. I heard you're in a Metallica band. Well, a Metallica inspired band now.
Not Metallica inspired, it's just a metal band.
Okay, Neil was trying to break this down for me. He's like, just think Metallica. I'm like, okay.
Yes, I do sing in a band called Von Bolt. And we perform around town at some great rock venues. Like there's a great place here called Vamped, which has a lot of great live music, local bands. And yeah, we're sort of a like horror movie, metal, Halloween inspired metal band. So that's almost my alter ego, like my alternate personality. I get to put on like Viking makeup and like put the Viking braids in my hair and like go headbang and scream into a microphone. Which is a lot of fun until you have the sore neck muscles for 4 days afterwards. So, you know, it's a very odd life I live where during the day I'm taking care of 2 beautiful children and making sure that they have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and that they've done their homework. And then at night I go headbang on stage at a goth bar. So my life is weird.
Do the babies know that their mom is very cool?
Oh, totally. Yeah. They like to rock out to our band's music. And they really want to come to a show. Like my daughter's 6 and she's like obsessed with the band, but she can't get into any of these venues because they're all, you know, not family friendly at all. But it's so funny when our lead singer, James Von, but the band's called Von Bolt, and our lead singer, James, will come over to our house every once in a while, you know, just in his leather and his combat boots and his mohawk. And Chloe, my daughter's like, Mr. James. And he's like, what's up, Chloe? Like, it's just such a funny, you know, clash of totally different worlds. But yeah, I mean, I have so much fun singing in Von Bolt. So yeah, look it up. It's VONBOLDT on Instagram and Spotify, and we got some music out. But yeah, I mean, former child actor on a sketch comedy show, mom by day, rocker by night. I also have a book out. I'm an author. It's called Ash Ridley and the Phoenix. It's on Amazon. It's very Harry Potter, so like middle grade fiction if you have a kid who's into Harry Potter. And then hosting the Vegas On show. So I think that's it.
Right? Yes. Oh my gosh, life in the entertainment industry. It's amazing. I feel like the only proper way to go out of this podcast is you just giving us, you know, some of the Jamaal That vocals.
Oh, 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 it's Jamaal That. Here's Jamaal That. Oh, 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 it's Jamaal That. Here's Jamaal That.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. Boom.
I forgot that I had this next record.
Just won a Nickelodeon blimp for that. Oh my gosh.
Favorite TV show, 2004. I know that you guys just recently won one as well. So congratulations. Yours is much fancier than mine. Yours is on like a trophy stand.
It's not necessary. That's efficient and simple.
Is yours a kaleidoscope?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
I did look through it.
Kaleidoscope. Can I can I do that? Can you see that it's a kaleidoscope?
It's good. It works.
Okay.
That's hilarious. You just listened to another episode of Off the Record with Dannie Rogers. A new episode drops every Tuesday.